Alright, so in this video I'm going to take a look at some of the different things that we can do with our bitmap images in Adobe Flash. Okay, so what we want to take a look at right now is taking a bitmap image and converting it into a vector. But what happened here is this one I placed in, and as I look at it, it's a drawing object. So what I need to do is I need to delete it, and I need to begin with File, Import, Import to Stage, and I'm preparing for my import. I come to where I placed this file. Now, it is important too that we want to replace it. Okay, excellent. It's important that when we get our files ready and we place them onto our stage, that we work with the file size before we put them in, because if not, especially if we're going to publish on the web, and most times, we're publishing for something, we need to make sure that it's able to compress and the viewer on the other end is able to view it without having to wait. So that's always an important piece. All right, so I import this raster image, and this is a bitmap image. It's a pixel image. It actually was a JPEG. I can come on into my library and I can see that there I have it. Now, I just want to show you one more thing too before we go any further. You can come into any of your files, double click them, and you can actually work with the size of them. We can make them smaller if they're too big. What we could do is we could come in, instead of use imported JPEG data, we could come to custom and we could lower it. And we'd want to do that actually in photo JPEG, if it is a JPEG, that is, and the other one for the PNG or the GIF. Now, what's great about Adobe Flash is when we compress our file, we don't lose the resolution. The actual resolution, well, we do lose the resolution we're viewing on the screen, but in the library panel, if that image was in the library panel, it still will retain its original file size. So therefore, a lot of times if you work in Photoshop quite a bit and you make it smaller, then you can't make it bigger. Well, in our library, we have the original data with the original amount of pixels, so we can go back to. All right, so what we're going to take a look at right now is taking this image right here, this bitmap image, and turning it into a vector, and it's very easy to do. All we do is we come into Modify, we come to Bitmap, and we hit Trace Bitmap. Now, the color threshold, we want to make sure, well, why would we want to change it into a vector? We could change it into a vector image, like vector, the images in Illustrator, because we're making a piece of art and we want it to have that vector kind of look. Another reason why we might want to turn it into a vector, if we want to make it smaller and bigger in an animation and we don't want it to lose any resolution. That's another idea. And generally, vector images are smaller than bitmap images. Vector images are usually smaller now, but if we have the color threshold up really high, it's going to be really big. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come on in here, I'm going to lower this to 20, and who knows, let's turn this down to 6, the minimum area. Now I can come in, do I want to have normal? Let's keep that normal. And curve fit has to do with smoothing. We'll keep that normal too. So I hit OK. It's tracing my bitmap, tracing. In a minute, we're going to see that it's traced, and it will then, in our properties, it will be converted into a shape. Okay, so let's take a look at what this looks like. Now we can see that, and I have the spinning wheel of thought. Now a lot of times if your file is big, and I actually did reduce my file size, but a lot of times if it's really big, what will happen is it will slow down. So it is important when we're running something through, tracing something through, that we make sure that it's a smaller size. All right, so there we have it. I can zoom it on in, and what I'm going to say, I could have made this smaller actually, totally, now that I look at it. This is the look of a vector image. So now maybe what I want to do now are make different selections based on what I have here, and we can come to our Lasso tool, and when we click the Lasso tool, we see down at the bottom of our tools that we have the magic wand, and we also have the Polygon Lasso. But what I could do with my plain old lasso, if I felt like I had a steady hand, I could come on in and trace around this area, which is easy. Well, it's not actually so easy to do, but it'd be a little easier to do if you have a bamboo tablet. But I could start even taking my piece apart a little bit here. Dun, 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 dun. And maybe even use these different symbols in an animation or something. So cutting out my pieces, maybe even converting them into symbols and creating some kind of animation. Now, let's actually go through these little tools here because we hit the lasso tool, and we hit the lasso tool down at the bottom, we get the magic wand, and we also get the polygon mode of the lasso tool. I'm going to zoom it on in here real quick and take a look at using one of these shapes. So if I grab onto this guy, and maybe I'm going to say, I'm going to set my magic wand up here. And if I up my threshold, let me up it to 60. The threshold has to do with when you select with your magic wand, with getting contiguous colors that are close to one another in color. I'm going to click my lasso off, click off. Hold on, let's deselect this. Grab it one more time. Select my magic wand. And I keep getting my lasso. All right, this should work. Hold on for 1 minute. I'm back to the magic wand tool. It's giving me a little bit of a hard time. And actually, I may have wanted to make my file a little bit smaller because it keeps locking up. So we have the polygon mode of the lasso tool. And what's good about the polygon mode is we can come in and we can click to put our different points down. Okay, so let's try that one more time. Okay, in order to get our points down, we would just come on in here and we would click, click, and we could stay as close as we wanted to. Now, a lot of this work that we're looking at right here, this is just showing you different ways that we can do things in Flash. A lot of this stuff can be done directly in programs that you probably feel pretty comfortable with working in, maybe, but in programs like in Photoshop and in Illustrator. So I could click. If I double click, then it won't follow me. I click. Now I can take this piece and move this piece off my stage. Okay, so again, this drawing is in the merge drawing mode. And let me try one more time this to get my magic wand to work. And the magic wand works the same way that it does in Photoshop. We can just come and select and get contiguous pixels related to the color, to the colors that are there, and that always works really well. All right, so sometimes when something is really funky and it's just not working out right, you can always come on up and even reset your tools. So let's see here. But I'm gonna leave it at that with the magic wand. So thanks for listening.